Hi, my name is Steve Hurd. This is an interesting experience. First time for me actually making a video. A couple of my kids said, "Dad, make a video." So here we are, making a video. Got lots of things that I'd like to talk about. We'll focus on a couple and try to keep it pertinent today. I'd like to talk a little bit about emergency preparedness and food storage. You know, it's been a really different year for us. In fact, I've often thought over the past, what could happen that could cause us to need to have to live off of the things that we had stored or really affect our way of life. 9/11 was a big one. Some of you are so young that you don't even remember that. 9/11 was a big one, and I've often thought, what could happen that would do this? And almost overnight, the coronavirus, COVID-19, hit. Little background, I was in Atlanta. I flew to Atlanta earlier the week of March 14th, I believe, and I flew back on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Things started shutting down. Happened that fast. I couldn't even have imagined what would have caused life to change that fast, but it's affected all of us. In spite of that, people have become resilient. I think through the experiences this year, some people have actually become stronger, but a lot of people have a lot of uncertainty and anxiety. I remember my thought when all of a sudden toilet paper started becoming a big issue, right? And people were worried about that. I thought, why in the world toilet paper, right? Whatever reason, it was a strange thing. And then all of a sudden we started experiencing shortages. And I would guess for the first time in most people's lives, that happened. And it was it was a very uncomfortable, disconcerting feeling. My first thought was, I need to go get a bunch of yeast and have the ingredients to make bread because I've got lots of wheat stored. So I was panicked over getting yeast, and I went to buy some and I couldn't find any. I went to several different stores before I found some, and they would only let me buy one package at a time. So I went and got a good friend of mine, and he went with me, and I hit the jackpot. I got 2 packages on that trip, and then things started slowly getting better. And I think human nature is that once we start getting accustomed to something, we start feeling less anxious about it, and we kind of go back to the way life was. I mean, let's admit it, life's busy, right? Things get in the way, life gets in the way, and those thoughts and feelings that you may have experienced back in March and April have probably subsided somewhat. And unfortunately, we don't follow through with some of the thoughts that we have, and that's kind of why I wanted to make this video and share some of my thoughts with you. I don't think it really matters whether you do it for religious reasons, whether you just think it's good practical advice, but it really makes sense to be prepared. Now, what's your definition of prepared? That's different for everybody. My definition is probably different from yours, but at least give some thought and consider some level of preparedness, because it's like I always tell people, something is better than nothing, and you're better off having it and not needing it than needing it and not having it. I've always had an interest and sometimes a stronger interest than others. Again, you know, back in the year 2000, there was the big Y2K thing, and that was concerning to me. I did a lot of things because of that, and it kind of turned out that it was not that big of a deal. You know, was I upset that I had done what I did? No, I really wasn't. And then in 2008, I spearheaded a project for a neighborhood group where we bought a bunch of bulk food and canned it into number 10 cans. And, you know, those things interest me. For whatever reason, that's something that motivates me and my ideas. That, you know, I want to share my passion and my ideas and in the hope that it will be helpful to other people. For those of you who don't know me, we have what's probably considered a rather large family, and in all honesty, that probably played into my thoughts and probably some of my fears about, you know, what preparedness meant and what it meant for our family. We have 14 children of our own, and now several of them have spouses, and You'll have to check with my wife or my spreadsheet, but I think we have 26 grandkids now, and we have another one on the way. So anyway, I've quite frankly been concerned, what if there were a situation developed where we had to live on the food that we had? And I know that my married kids have their own lives and all of that, but I also know that under certain circumstances, they would probably show up here. And they should. They're welcome to. I'll do everything I can to help if it ever comes to that. But those are some of the reasons why I've had the interest that I have lately, and partially COVID related probably. I've recognized, or at least it's felt to me like there's a lot of confusion out there. People are anxious about it, but they're really not sure what to do. And that experience and that idea kind of led me on a search for solutions for that. It started probably back in April of this year, and my idea was that, I'll find a company that I'll vet out, and they'll have a solution that I like, and I'll present that solution to people. I'll make it available to people, and I didn't do anything about it. That's never happened to any of you, have you? You've had an idea, in fact, you felt prompted maybe and felt like, well, this is important, I need to do this, and life gets in the way, like we talked about. And then in kind of a unique way, it came full circle to me and presented itself from a different angle, quite honestly. But again, I think a lot of people are confused. I think they would like to do something. They don't know what to do. They don't know what their options are. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, to be able to give people ideas, hopefully alleviate some of that anxiety and that concern about what do I do, and be able to help people determine what are some viable options for their given situation. And I realize everybody's situation is a little bit different, but I think there's some principles that pretty much apply to everybody. So that's kind of the reason why I'm doing this. We'll get into more detail about what I think are valid options and possible good solutions for other people, and we'll bring up some of those and some of those specifics on our next video. Thanks for watching. Hope this was helpful.